Good evening and thanks for joining us. Tonight, in the spirit of the season, we felt it was only appropriate to take a deeper journey through the history and lore surrounding this very special time of year. And what better way to embrace Halloween's deepest roots than to delve into an ancient ritual that most of its traditions pull directly from? Are you prepared to explore the origins of Samhain? Iconically, Samhain was a name given to the Gaelic festival marking the end of harvest and the beginning of winter, or the darker half of the year. While Samhain was technically held on November 1st, with Celtic Day beginning and ending at sunset, celebrations were started on the eve of October 31st. This ancient festival sits around halfway between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice, and is one of the 4 quarter days associated with Gaelic seasonal festivals, of which, incidentally, it's believed Samhain and Bealtaine, which lie on opposite ends of the year, were the most important. Historically observed through Ireland, Scotland, and the Isle of Man, and in a similar practice called Caolan Gaif, toted by the Brittonic Celtic people, Samhain is believed to be intrinsically Celtic pagan in nature, with its earliest documentation in Irish literature dating back to the 9th century. Though with Irish mythology formerly being an entirely spoken tradition, it's assumed Christian monks through the Middle Ages merely recorded stories we may never truly know the age of. Some of this early literature depicts declarations of peace and mass gatherings, where men and women ate, drank, and held fun contests, a setting still popular in many an old Irish fable, while others talk of 6 days of steady drinking and communal feasting beyond the imagination. Additionally, Samhain held tradition in a militaristic aspect, as holiday thrones were prepared for all commanders, and anyone who committed a crime or used their weapon during celebration times faced execution. Also through the 9th century, the church would alter the date of All Saints' Day to November 1st, while All Souls' Day would land on November 2nd, and over the centuries, it's suspected that these holidays merged and heavily influenced Samhain's evolution. The festival of Samhain wasn't recorded in detail until the early modern period, when its written livestock were guided down from summer pastures for slaughter, and when the weather began to turn. Special bonfires, believed to hold protective and cleansing powers, were ignited throughout communities to symbolize the sun keeping away the darkness, and rituals were performed near them. While it's widely accepted that crops and sometimes animals were sacrificed to Samhain bonfires, some darker tales tell of human sacrifice much earlier in the timeline. Following cleansing rituals, all local fires and hearths would be doused and reignited with torches lit from these special bonfires to better ward properties from evil. Samhain was a threshold festival, a time during which it was believed the veil between this world and the next was at its thinnest, allowing for spirits and fairies to roam free. A major part of the tradition of Samhain included offerings of food and drink both to the spirits and to neighbors to ensure their survival through the winter. Several specific entities were closely associated to Samhain, including the Pucka, a shape-shifting creature that received offerings from fields, the Lady Gwyn, a headless woman dressed in white, accompanied by a black swine that was known to chase off those who wandered at night, the Dullahan, which appeared as either small impish beasts or headless men on horseback, the Fairy Host, a group of hunters that haunted the night, kidnapping the unsuspecting, and the Slog, which would enter domiciles to steal souls. It was also believed that during Samhain, the spirits of dead kinfolk would revisit their former abodes, seeking hospitality and a place set at the household's table for meals, and special care was taken as not to affront the dead, as just as it was claimed that they could bring one good blessings, it was also feared that they could cause unimaginable harm. From at least the 16th century and onward, the practice of mumming and guising, which was possibly derived from the tradition of impersonating spirits or receiving offerings on their behalf, would fall into fashion, in which townsfolk would dress up in costume and would recite songs or verses at strangers' steps in exchange for food or ale. Additionally, geysers would light their paths with carved-out turnips with burning coals inside. These carved roots were also placed on windowsills, in front doors, and the like, to ward off evil, and would eventually evolve into the pumpkin jack-o'-lantern. Also, a large part of the Festival of Samhain, a number of games and rituals for divination, especially in regards to marriage and death, were performed, including bobbing for apples, which was said to foretell one's true love, and another event in which participants slept around the bonfire, lining themselves with stones. In the morning, if one's stones were found moved or out of place in the slightest, it was taken as an omen that they wouldn't live through the year. The tradition of pranking near Samhain dates back to as early as 1736 and would eventually lead to the date being referred to as Mischief Night in some parts. By the 18th and 19th centuries, through the mass transatlantic Irish and Scottish immigration to America, Samhain was widely recognized for its guising and pranks, and over time, merging with cultures would evolve into trick-or-treating and ultimately to Halloween. While Samhain has been recognized as a religious holiday to Celtic neo-pagans and Wiccans since the late 20th century, most modern festivals and celebrations retain only fractions or modernized teachings of the age-old ritualistic holiday that inspired one of our most beloved traditions. Thanks for joining us in exploring the origins of Samhain. If you enjoyed hearing our histories and stories, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn notifications on. Throw us a like and, most importantly, share us with anyone you feel could use a good scare. We'll see you next time.